And a very happy afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Burgess back with Think and Grow Rich. And today we're on Organized Planning Part 2. Now, once again, this chapter is the longest and most laborious chapter in the entire book. So take your time going through this chapter. Watch these videos over and over and over again, because as we've learned, it's through the repetition that we really develop an understanding. So hit the subscribe button for us if you would, please. Make sure you share these videos with people you care about and help them get their mind right so they can think and grow rich. And today we want to talk about leadership, but before we get there, let's just recap the beginning of this chapter, if we may. Remember, the steps to creating the proper plan are very simple. And step one is, I believe he says, to ally ourselves with as many people as necessary for the creation and carrying out of the plan, or plans for the accumulation of the desire, or of the riches you desire. So what riches do you desire? And that should give you a pretty good indication of who needs to be a part of that particular organization, that group of people, to help you maintain the right mindset to pull it off. Step two was, before forming this particular mastermind alliance, make sure you determine what benefits you have to offer each member of the group. Now, those benefits do not always have to be material. It doesn't have to be money. Although some people think that, the only way you have a real mastermind group is people getting paid. That's a bunch of garbage. The best mastermind partners I've ever had, we never exchanged any money in any way, shape, or form. And they've helped me, do things I didn't think I could do. We've helped them do things they weren't sure they could do. And it was the psychic compensation. And he talks about that when we get to the power of the mastermind. We'll get there as well. So the mastermind principle doesn't just mean people who might be your vendors, who you're paying to build you something, or paying to provide a service for you. They don't necessarily make up all of your mastermind, not by any stretch of the imagination. And then it was arranged to meet with the members of this group at least twice a week, or more often if necessary. And of course, we can do that today with the internet, and how easily it is to communicate with any part of the world at any time. You just turn on the computer and boom, you're there. So you can certainly meet with these people, with this alliance of people, several times a week until these plans have been created. And then remember this, the fourth step is the critical step, and I've made the mistake of not making sure this was prevalent at all times. He says this, he says, maintain perfect harmony between you and every member of the mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not exist. So make sure that you use great discrimination in the selection of the members of this particular group. If they're there just to collect an invoice, you've got the wrong members. If they're there to help you reach your goals, or in this particular mastermind group, if you're talking about one of their issues and you're connecting your minds together to help them overcome something, that's a good member of a mastermind group. If they're only there to get paid some sort of a material compensation, that's not a good member of this group, just so you know. And then we talked about some other things about how Thomas Edison failed over and over again, and what that really means was that his achievement could be no more sound than his plan was. And Napoleon says that. He says your achievements can be no greater than your plans are sound. So he also talks about, if the one plan doesn't work, well, replace it with a new plan and set sail again. Towards that what? Towards your coveted goal. What's your real desire? And then he steps into this particular segment of the chapter, and he talks about leadership. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I could go on for the next 3 days. I could do a 3-day seminar wrapped around the principles in this book and leadership. However, we don't have that kind of time. So once again, I'll encourage you to definitely get into this book and study this portion of it, because it is so very important. I'm only going to skim on it, and obviously in the short time that we have here today, I'm not going to be able to do justice to the whole subject of leadership. But perhaps I can just get you thinking about something that'll help you become a better leader and a more intelligent follower. He says, broadly speaking, there are two types of people in the world. One type is known as leaders and the other as followers. He says that we should decide at the outset whether we intend to become a leader in our chosen calling or remain a follower. So have you decided what you're going to do? Are you going to be the leader, or are you going to be an intelligent follower? You need to make up your mind on that one. He said the difference in compensation is vast. The follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled, although many followers make the mistake of thinking that's the way it should be. He says of expecting such pay. If you're following somebody and they're the leader of that group, of that organization, they probably earn more dollars. Get your ego out of the way. Who cares? Oh, I do, Tim. It's all about the money. Well, then you've got your mindset wrong. And that's a fact that you'll learn as you go through this book more and more. He says it is no disgrace to be a follower. On the other hand, it's no credit to remain one either. I'll say this. If you can't be a good follower, intelligent follower, you'll never be a good leader. We have to know when to intelligently follow and when to lead. That's called awareness. He says most great leaders began in the capacity of followers. They became great leaders because they were what? Intelligent followers. So whatever you're doing in the game of life right now, are you intelligently following? Because that's the only way you can become an efficient, great leader, is to intelligently follow somebody. Now, my first mentor taught me this. He said, Tim, you either have to lead, follow, or get out of the way. Either lead me where I want to go, grab my shirt tail and hold on and follow me, and I'll take you there if you do it intelligently, or just get out of my way. But what do most people want to do? Lead, follow? No, they want to lead or get in the way. Let us not get that mindset, okay? Excuse me. The man who can follow a leader most efficiently, is usually the man who develops into leadership most rapidly. So if you can follow efficiently, if you can follow intelligently, you become a leader most rapidly. Now he talks about some of the major attributes to leadership. And I think these are pretty much common sense to anybody who really is a true leader. But a lot of people don't ever think about this, but they want to become a leader. Well, let's think about this then. Unwavering courage. Unwavering courage doesn't mean stupid risk. Unwavering courage means it's based upon knowledge of self and one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. And no intelligent follower will be dominated by such a leader very long. Now, just ask the question, how long would you follow somebody like that? Number 2, self-control. The person who cannot control themselves, how could they possibly control other people? If we don't have self-control, we'll never be able to lead others, never. A keen sense of justice. Without a sense of justice, we'll never be an efficient or effective leader. Definiteness of decision. Definiteness of decision, Tim? Yeah. The man who wavers in his decisions shows that he is not sure of himself and he cannot successfully lead others. Definiteness of decision. We'll get into decision in the next chapter. Definiteness of plans. Oh, step 4. Definite plan. Not perfect, a definite one. The successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Wandering around the ocean all over the place, going nowhere. Kind of silly, isn't it? How about the habit of doing more than paid for? The habit of always going the extra mile. Do you have that habit right now? Do you always go the extra mile? Always, out of a matter of habit. My first mentor taught me this. He said, Tim, if you'll go the extra mile, the highway is all yours. It's never crowded because nobody's out there with you. And I thought about that for a minute, and I thought of a highway all by myself. And that's exactly the vision or the image that you want to hold on the screen of your mind, because that's how it works. If you create the habit of always going the extra mile, always provide more service than you're paid for, always, you'll be out there on the highway by yourself. Nobody else out there. Very, very, very few people, man. A pleasing personality. I love his wording here. He says, no slovenly, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect a leader who does not grade high on all factors of a pleasing personality. All factors of a pleasing personality. And number 8, sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with his followers. Number 9, mastery of detail. You got to pay attention to the details. Pay attention to the small things. Be aware. Be observant. Willingness to assume full responsibility. See, this is the one that people don't want to do. They want to shy away from this one. And most people who are in some sort of a management or supervisory or something like that role in their companies, unfortunately, they play the blame game more than they accept the responsibility from the people who report to them. For example, if I'm in charge, well, I'm in charge of this company maximizing results. Anything that happens in this company, anything, it's my responsibility. I didn't say it was my fault. I said it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to make sure that we're representing ourselves in the company in a very integritous manner. That's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to make sure the systems are in place. It's my responsibility. So let's make sure we're very aware of this. And if you are a leader, you assume the responsibility of everybody in your command. Everybody. It may not be your fault that something took place, but it's still your responsibility. Number 11, cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Cooperative effort. Now, there are 2 forms of leadership that Napoleon likes to talk about, and we all know there's that. And the first, by far the most effective, is leadership by consent. And then, of course, we have the leadership by force. Now, we've all heard of dictators, and we know what happens to them eventually in the world. And by the way, how do you feel when you're following because that's what you want to do? You're intelligently following some system, some organization, whatever, some company, because it's what you want to do. You feel good, you feel part of it. Or how do you feel if they really don't care and they're just, their company's going this way, you want to go with them? Okay, great. You see, folks, we have to get our mind right around this, and so do the companies. The companies need to get their mind right. Napoleon goes on and he talks about the 2 differences. And he says, history is filled with evidences that leadership by force cannot endure. The downfall and disappearance of dictators and kings is significant. It means that people will not follow forced leadership indefinitely. And they won't. So you want to make sure that as you're becoming a better leader, as you're becoming a more intelligent leader, a more efficient, more effective leader, your awareness level is absolutely firing on all cylinders. And you know what's going on in the organization because you've got your thumb on the pulse of it. You're paying attention. You're aware. Because leadership by consent is really the only way to go. He talks about the relationship between employer and employee, but once again, the book was written in 1937. And back then is when the union labor, or the labor unions were starting up and things like that were going on because of the working conditions in some of the steel mills and all of this other stuff. Now, we know the reports were out there for that. There's no sense in us going into that particular part of the book at this time, but let's think about it for a minute. What's going on right now between employer and employee? I mean, right now, employers can't find employees that really want to work. And the ones who do show up to work, how's their attitude? And that brings me back to this question. If the employee's attitude is gone south, what about the person training them? What about the person letting them know what the company will expect and will accept from them, their employee? You see, so it's a little bit backwards in the mindset right now, ladies and gentlemen. I really believe that it is. The employer-employee relationship is strained just like it was 1937. But we can fix this as a society. Now, it'll be one at a time until thinking takes over. And I'm not sure that'll ever happen, but what the hell, let's give it a try, huh? As always, our greatest desire, I should say one of our greatest desires, is for this day to be the very best day that you have ever experienced in this game we call life. Yesterday doesn't matter. It is ancient history at this point. The only thing you can do is learn from it. You can't do anything about it, but you can learn from it. Tomorrow isn't here. The only thing you can do is plan and prepare to receive the good you desire. Plan and prepare to give the service that brings you joy. However, this moment in time right now, you can decide that this is the very best. And please, tonight when you put your head on a pillow, do so with a mind full of peace. Remember, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. And may God bless each and every one of you. Have a fabulous day.